Welcome to Retrospect Rewind. This week, we begin by looking back to May of 1995 at some highlights of the Kinsman Rodeo.
We pick it up in Saddlebronk for one of the wildest rides of the day. Wainwright's Dwayne Pillman on Desperado from the Franklin Rodeo Company in Bonnyville. Pillman is on for the 8 and after. Pillman and Desperado both go down. Pillman scores a 76, not quite good enough to beat out Lloydminster Cowboy. Ian Freeman, who's 82 from Friday, holds up to be the best over the 3 days.
It's always a bonus to win in your hometown where people know you and stuff. Usually it makes most guys get really nervous and fall off in front of the hometown. For a chance, I got lucky and stayed on, and it worked out for me.
From rags to riches, the next night you jump on Red Deer and you get bucked off.
Yeah, she had a really good trip, and I just lost my swells and couldn't get back in there, so it happens.
Great start to the season for you then. First place showing here, some pretty good cash. You can build on this.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. Get one win under your belt, it breaks the ice and gets you feeling a little better about rodeo, and away you go.
To bear back now, Lakeland Rodeo standout, the Midwest Kirk Jackknife on Smoke Screen. He is on for the 8 and collects a score of 69, but it's Cam Moores of Patricia, Alberta with a 79. Back on Saturday, he was tops in the event. Cliff Williamson won calf roping, while Jarrett Monroe was tops in boys steer riding. To the barrels now, a former Kinsman champion. Mary Bonagowski against Carson, North Dakota, turns all 3 barrels in a nice time at 13.24. But it's Amy Stone's time at 12.97 from Friday. That holds up as the top time of the weekend. To steer wrestling, while reigning world champion Blaine Peterson had a no time, here was the top time. Darren Shaw of Carsden gets out there and gets it done in a time of 4.5 as he takes top spot. To bull riding, he saw his brother win Saddlebronk. Merle Freeman on board at Dumas Walker looking to win his event, but he can't make the 8 as he gets bucked off. A bit of a scare here. Vincent Lambert on Katie. He gets bucked off and gets a mouthful of horn. He runs away, and he was okay. Here's her winning bull ride, Jack Watts on Copenhagen Braddock, and he is on for the 8 and collects a score of 88 as Jack Watts wins bull riding in the Border City.
And in May of 1999, snow hits the Border City just a few weeks into spring.
With spring a few weeks in, one's fancies usually turn to the birds and the bees, right? Well, Mother Nature had some different ideas here in the Midwest as we all awoke to what seemed a distant memory. By late afternoon, more than 8 centimeters of the white stuff touched Earth, and that brought some much-needed moisture. And while it's a given that area farmers are happy, local businesses that depend on the warm weather are also pretty happy.
Anytime you can add moisture to a situation like we've been through, where it's been quite dry in the area, it brings a certain optimism, at least we find, to the farming community. And of course, the more optimistic they are, the more confident they are about the economy.
Actually, I must say I don't mind the weather like this because it's bringing moisture for us. We'll take moisture in any shape, way, form. We can get it.
For those of you whose green thumb is twitching with anticipation to start your version of the Garden of Eden, the old advice still stands. Wait till the May long weekend.
Don't get excited just because we're getting a little bit of snow in April. It's not even May. Don't worry about it. Now, if it was May long weekend, end of May, then I'd start to worry about it because then the trees and shrubs would be all in leaf. And then with wet, heavy snow, then that's when we get damage. But people's tulips and stuff are just coming up now, so the snow is not going to affect them at all.
And for those of you who didn't take advantage of the first 2 weeks that the local golf course was open, well, you still have an entire summer ahead of you to get to the greens. And no one at the golf shop is too worried.
Weather's beautiful. We needed the moisture, and the snow really isn't going to hurt anything. Yeah, take about 3 hours of sunshine and it's gone. So
We'll be back with more Retrospect Rewind after this short break. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. Next, we take you back to 1993, when the Thunderchild Band signs a land treaty.
Although the treaty was initiated in 1876, it took the Thunderchild Band in Ottawa 117 years to ratify it. The deal will see the band near Turtle Ford receive $33 million over the next 12 years. Thunderchild Band Chief Winston Weecock says there were some doubts about the fairness of the deal.
There are certain people who have felt throughout even our negotiations here that possibly we may be getting undercut somewhere.
Chief Weekes says despite the doubts, the vote was received well overall, with 97% of the band approving it. Northern Affairs Regional Director Myler Seville says the signing of the treaty signals a positive future for the band.
Will be that the band's trust account is now set up and they can proceed with their plans, particularly their land acquisition plans, and acquire the land that they so desire and get into the market.
The $33 million will be used to purchase at least 38,000 acres of land. Chief Weekes says the band has future plans for any money left over.
The monies left over after the purchase of the 38,000 acres will be up to the band. Band development, we mean things like possibly a recreational facility, arena and band offices and things like that, and possibly some accommodations for people possibly on the reserve and maybe even in the urban centers.
Tammy De Silva, NewsHour.
And in 1998, local residents are urged to ration water usage amidst shortages.
Manville residents are being asked to ration the amounts of water that they are using.
We requested people to refrain from watering lawns or gardens. We do have a shortage in our reservoir right now. Until that is built back up, we'll have them refrain from usage.
The combination of dry conditions and excessive water consumption have caused the underground reservoir to drop.
I think most people, and we do anyways, try to conserve water daily anyways, the way we live.
It's not only the public who need to keep tabs on their water consumption, local business is also affected.
We haven't been that busy, so I think our consumption right now is right under the 2% of what the whole town of Manville takes. We're presently getting filters into our system so we can recycle our water, and so our consumption will be very much at all.
Water. It's something most of us take for granted. Now, as Manville residents do their part to conserve water, we should all learn a lesson in trying to protect our most valuable resource.
If everybody uses it wisely, there's enough water to go around.
Brian Mudrick for NewsHour.
We'll be back with more Retrospect Rewind after this short break. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. Let's take it back to June 1997, when Lloydminster celebrated members of its community becoming official Canadian citizens.
It's a moment many have been waiting a long time for. Joseph Abajero's wife, Imelda, immigrated to Canada over 9 years ago. Joseph arrived 3 years later to Lloydminster and says it's the best move he's ever made.
It's proud to be a Canadian. And actually I have 3 kids, so for now we are all Canadians. And in Canada, the only thing I appreciate is the equality. Everything is equal. There's no gap among the human beings. There's no rich and poor in here. Not the same the place where I came from.
These new Canadians had to live in Canada for at least 3 years, write an English test, and know about the country they're calling home. They are now able to enjoy all the rights and freedoms that comes with being Canadian.
From today, they have the right to be a candidate. From today, they have a right to vote. From today, they have a right to go and apply for government jobs, which they will be get preference, And from today, they have all the rights of any citizen of Canada.
For students at Bishop Lloyd, the ceremony was a very moving experience.
I think it meant a lot to all the students and the adults of the community so that they can see what it's like to become a new citizen and how they felt to actually become a citizen.
I think it meant a lot because I don't think any of them was really experienced something like this, so I think it was pretty good for the students.
They all may have different reasons for coming, but they share the same dreams of freedom, democracy, and peace in a place called Canada.
The only thing I can say is it's pretty nice if you have a maple leaf behind you all the time.
Now we move forward to 2002, where a group getting together to clean the river led to an unlikely connection.
This was where the mystery unfolded almost 2 weeks ago. It was a long day for St. Walburg RCMP and Midwest Rescue officials as they searched from dawn till dusk at the banks of the North Saskatchewan River. They found all kinds of garbage and debris along the shoreline, including a weathered plastic 7-Up bottle with a very interesting story.
As we met up at the end of the search, everybody was showing each other what they found, and somebody happened to find the note in the bottle.
The note, still in good shape, was written by 11-year-old Suzanne Calder, who had thrown it in the river in Edmonton 8 years ago. 18-year-old Alfield was given the note because he's closest to the girl's age. He wrote back that very night.
It could be when some strange destiny thing, you never know. I really didn't know what to say because I only know what I know about her is from when she was in grade 6. So. She was 11 at the time, right? So she talked about her newts and her dog and her saxophone and, you know, what school she went to and that.
Constable Greg Volick with the St. Walburg Detachment tracked down the girl through the address on the note. Luckily, her family still lives at the same location. Suzanne wasn't home at the time, but her mother was.
And we found the bottle. Yeah, so, yeah, well, it was September the 27th, 1989.
Today we were able to reach Suzanne herself. Apparently the bottled message was a class project. Each student participated. However, to date, only one other classmate's note has been found, and only 1 month after it was released.
It is pretty interesting to do. Like, I didn't think it would ever be found. Like, I kind of forgot about it until, like, my mom said that someone phoned about it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember. I've actually done that in grade 3, too. We did it with balloons, and the same thing happened. Like, we filled up balloons and tied notes to them, and a farmer found it in his field, and so it's kind of weird that it happened twice. But
She says she's looking forward to receiving Cameron's letter and thanks search officials for rescuing her message. The mystery has been solved, the class project was successful, and possibly a new friendship.
We'll be back with more Retrospect Rewind after this short break. Welcome back to Retrospect Rewind. Let's travel back to 1996, where people gear up for the 83rd edition of the Canadian Ladies Amateur Golf Tournament.
Third edition of the Canadian Ladies Amateur is scheduled for August 12th to 16th at the North Battleford Golf and Country Club, and officials are expecting a top-notch field to compete for the Duchess of Connaught Trophy.
We always have a fairly high number of people come from out of the country too, maybe 10, 12, I don't know. The entries go into the national office and I haven't seen them yet, but it's quite a prestigious tournament, and all the top women golfers in Canada are clamoring to get here. If they make their provincial team, fine. If they don't make their provincial team, there'll be individual entries.
And while that list won't be known for a couple of weeks, it's expected Tracy Lipp of BC will be back to defend her title. Coley says the amateur is a great stepping stone to the LPGA.
Onco Jones was our champion a number of years ago, and she's on the tour. I worked on this amateur championship in 1986 when it was at Riverside in Saskatoon, and I know I spent quite a bit of time talking to Mr. and Mrs. Kurdick, and Tracy Kurdick is also on tour now. And there are several girls, like they get married, they change their names, but Gail Graham is another one. There are quite a number. Wyatt, Jennifer Wyatt. These are all girls that I have met at this championship, mind you, 10 years ago, but they're on the professional tour now, and you don't make it at at that international level until you make it at the national level. So it really is going to be an excellent place to see great golf.
With just over a month to go, the big job falls in the hands of Course Superintendent Grant Sachin, but he said the course is looking good.
It's really come through nice. We have a couple greens that were a little shaky off the start, but just in the last week even, they're really filling in. So things are starting to come together.
The North Battleford course may not compare to a Glen Abbey or a U.S. Open course, but Sachin says it will be a good test of golf.
It's got some length, narrow fairways. You got to hit the fairways, and the rough isn't that long, but it's lush. So you got to hit it pretty straight. And then the greens. Everyone talks about our greens. They're always a little slick, always little undulations in there you don't seem to see, so it'll be a good test.
The week-long championship officially starts August the 11th. Keith Snowgrove, NewsHour Sports.
And in 2000, a fashion frenzy takes over Lashburn High School.
The supermodels of Lashburn High worked the runway Wednesday evening in an effort to raise funds for their graduation celebrations. Many money-generating ideas were tossed around before the graduating class voted in favor of a fashion show.
We haven't done a fashion show for about 5 years. We went into doing other things like garage sales and slave auctions, and then this year we decided that we wanted to go back to something a little bit more formal and a little bit that would include more of the community.
And attract support from the community they did. The show drew in close to $1,000, not to mention 165 spectators.
We've done really good, so I think we have something to be proud about.
Sponsorship came from such groups as the Lashburn Credit Union, Beaton Agencies, Lashburn Fine Foods, and Cornerstone Clothiers, who supplied the wares.
We like to do fundraising events for people because we like to help out the community, and we like to do things just also outside of Lloydminster, because there's a lot of people from outside Lloydminster that shop at the store as well.
Not only has the audience at the fundraiser here tonight been able to enjoy some wonderful fashions, there's also a group of dancers here showing off their talents.
Most of the dancers are our students from the high school. And what we wanted to do is include some of our talent here. We have a music program that we will have an evening of music next week on Wednesday, and our musicians have been recognized provincially, but our dancers haven't been, so we wanted to give them a bit of a spotlight as well.
The class of 2000 will be celebrating a chem-free grad, which they see as an opportunity to enjoy time together without the effects of drugs or alcohol.
We won't be drinking alcohol at all. There'll be no alcohol at the grad. It's a safe way. It's a good way to have a grad.
At Fashion Frenzy in Lashburn High School, Anne-Marie Blackburn, NewsHour.
Up next, we take it back to 1990, where hotel owners consider adding hard liquor to their list of services.
Case of blue? Certainly.
Right now in towns like Kitscoty, you can only buy beer at the local hotel. But that may change. The Alberta government feels that residents of Kitscoty and towns like it without a liquor store should be able to buy hard booze without having to travel out of town. If hotel owner Tony Bakita wants to, he can, as of today, apply to sell hard liquor. Bakita says there's not a lot of money in off sales, but if this is something the community wants, he will consider it.
If it's feasible and let's be honest, if it's profitable, certainly.
Bakita says this is another service Kitscoty residents deserve, like their neighbors in Lloydminster. He doesn't feel selling hard booze over the counter is going to contribute to alcoholism in his town.
A confirmed alcoholic has his sources of supply. A confirmed alcoholic never goes short. In other words, the same as a drug addict. He knows where the pushers are and where to get his supply of drugs, whereas anyone that's not an addict has no idea where he'd make the contact.
While Tony Bakita is taking a wait-and-see attitude, most hotel owners are happy with the new liquor rules, especially in small towns like this one. And for obvious reasons, they stand to make a buck. But people who work with alcoholics worry easier access will mean increased problems. Bill Hewitt sees those problems every day. He works at Lloydminster's Slim Thorpe Center treating alcoholics and drug abusers. He says selling hard booze at hotels won't necessarily result in more people being treated here, but he doesn't like the new rules all the same.
Say that it will increase, I know, misuse and abuse.
Hewitt sees a potential problem with young people. He's convinced some hotel owners will sell to underage drinkers.
Absolutely, I think statistics prove that, and we can prove that. I think in the province of Quebec there's enough information on there, enough statistics to prove that that is possible.
Hewitt says neither his center nor any center like it he knows of was consulted before the new government legislation came down. While hotel owners in towns with no government liquor store can apply to sell the hard stuff as of today, the rules will cover the entire province in 1991. Then all hoteliers will be able to sell the hard stuff. Bob Keating, Broadcast Center News.
And next, we have a wrap on the 1996 Wainwright Stampede.
Battlebrock, where Kinsilla's Gordon McKee won the day money with a ride of 77. Not good enough to overtake former Lloydminster Cowboy Mal Coleman for top spot, as the Arizona Cowboy won with a 79. Coleman and McKee both rode DeWalt Hurricane to an impressive scores.
Good horse. When you get a horse like that, you should win something. Because you know he's going to do his job. You just got to make sure you try and do yours. And had a little trouble get going, but once we got rolling, it went pretty good.
How was the weekend for yourself?
Decent. I was winning second at High River, so hopefully I'll hang in there for a little bit too.
To bareback, former CCA champions Strathmore's Jason DeGurcio and Chester's Bandit makes the 8 and picks up a score of 70. Finishes just out of the money. Raja Lacasse won with an 86.
Well, I was satisfied when I got off. That's a really strong horse. I know I could have done a lot better on him, but I was just trying to stay aggressive, and boy, he was really strong, and I just wish I'd have handled him a little better to get a check here.
A disappointing day for Midwest Cowboy in steer wrestling when former world champion Emmis Blaine Peterson just can't put it down. Milton Lewis won with a time of 4.4. To the speed of the barrels, Wainwright's John Hager here turns all three in a time of 16.63. But it was Monica Wilson ending up on top with a time of 16.30. Nonetheless, not a bad run for Hager.
We'd all sure like to be faster unless you're winning number one. It seems there is improvement. I'm happy with my run. I'm happy to get a check. That's little checks add up too.
Performing here in front of your home fans and everything, does that mean anything special to you?
Oh, yes, it does. There's some added pressure to that, you know, that of course everybody's looking for you to do good, and hopefully you can please them.
The bull riding, where it was the Bulls 12, the Cowboys 3. Among those 3 to hold on for the 8 was Billy Jones here on Razzmatazz. He will make the 8 and picks up a score of 82. Good for the day money, but Brad Link ends up on top with a score of 89.
Hey, Billy, we're just talking about 12-3 for the Bulls, and you're sitting here and you're watching these guys get bucked off. What's going through your mind?
About the same as always. Just you got to go. Can't really worry about what they're doing. Just try hard and try and do your best. And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't.
Thank you for joining me in this week's edition of Retrospect Rewind. Join me again next time to take a nostalgic walk through the past.